Hello, welcome back to Rabbits Forever. So today I'm going to show you what dominance looks like. Now dominance can look like a lot of things in rabbits, however, this is probably the most common way they show dominance. Now I'm going to show you this by putting my two bucks together. Dusty here is an adult now. He's able to breed, his testes have dropped, everything. So he has all his hormones going through him and is ready to breed, basically. So if I put him with a doe, he'd be able to breed with her, and I wouldn't worry about anything. Now, Stormy over here, he has not had his testes drop or anything like that, so that's the only reason why I'm doing this today, is because he doesn't have any hormones going through him, and I don't have to worry about him fighting back when when Dusty tries to mount him. So, because if they do fight back, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, because especially with two bucks, because they can nip off each other's testicles. They can harm each other brutally, and they can even kill each other if they want to. It all depends on the bucks you have. Now, this isn't with all bucks, but majority of animals, whether you put two does together or two bucks, they will fight. They tend to fight a lot. Sorry, I'm closing that cage because I don't want them to try to jump on it and fall. But this is the reason why you typically do not put two rabbits together unless they're either neutered or spayed, because they can, as I said, kill each other. And for instance, one time before in my past, when I was first getting into rabbits, I was told putting two does together would be fine, especially if I only breed one doe and the other one's younger. Well, I learned the hard way that that is not fine whatsoever. And in some cases, yes, it does work out. I've had a friend who had two Himalayans, and it worked out great, but they were sisters too. See, if you take, don't fall off. But if you take a sister and a sister and put them together, they'll typically be perfectly fine. However, if you take a brother and a brother, I've actually had that perfectly fine, unintentionally. I did not do that intentionally. I just wasn't paying enough attention to how old they were actually getting. And when I went to check on them and do just an overall health quality check and everything before I either sold or butchered them, and it turned out that both of them were well over 5 months. And that's typically 4 to 5 months is typically when their balls drop and their hormones kick in. And you want to separate them at about 3 months, if that. Some people will separate them at like 8 weeks or something like that. But typically, I don't do that until 2, 3 months, 4 months, because typically I have my animals sold by then, but these guys I wanted to hold on for show purposes, and I just completely forgot to separate them. But I had two does before that I put together, and they lived perfectly fine for about like 3 months. They had no issues whatsoever. They were cuddling, playing, doing all that, and then all of a sudden one day I picked up my larger doe because she was an English Lop with a mini Rex, so much, much larger. Well, my mini Rex actually ate my English Lop's tail off, which was miserable. I ended up having to put her down and everything because there was just too much bone exposed, and it would have cost me far too much to get it fixed. So I ended up putting her down, which was very sad, and I hope nobody has to go through that like I did, especially when you're a beginner. So, as I said, just best option for any breeder, or if you're just keeping rabbits as pets, is just keep them separate. you can put wire in between them or whatever, and they can talk to each other through the wire and, you know, get attention through the wire. Just I wouldn't suggest putting them in the exact same cage. Because yes, I actually have had a buck try to harm my other buck through wire. And that was just because he was so territorial. He was never in with any other bucks, but it was just because he was so territorial that every time that other buck would get next to that wire, he would just go nuts. But right now, instead of continue talking, I think I got my point through. I will pull out Stormy and set him up with Dusty. Now, I may have to set my phone down if they do end up starting to fight. And the best way to grab your rabbit or kind of trap them is just put your hand in front of their face. They're gonna just shrink up like this because they're just ready to pet. That's just a little helpful tip. And if you are only grabbing them with one hand, you can do this, grab them by the scruff and the ears, and I'll show that in a future video. But after you do that, you want to quickly pull them up next to your body. All right. So he's being set down right now. This is typically how it starts. He's going to sniff them and maybe nip them a little bit. But as you see, he's trying to get away because he's done this before. And as you see, the English spot's trying to mount. So Dusty's trying to mount Stormy. And that's just a way of showing dominance. But I think Stormy might actually start having some hormones being kicked in, because as you see, he's kind of chasing Dusty around as well and trying to mount him. Yeah, he does. See? Wow, I'm actually surprised by this. Because, as I said, Stormy shouldn't be having any hormones kicking in. And how you separate them is just put your hand in between them, pick them up, and separate them. But with these two boys, luckily nothing bad happened. Sorry, my finger covered it. But luckily nothing bad happened. But, hi boy. And thankfully he didn't pull any fur out, because this is not really a fur breed, but I do have to be very careful with his pelt because he is judged based on his markings and all that. So luckily nothing actually bad happened to either of them. Woo, you're gonna fall out. Sorry. But yeah, and that'll typically happen, but after a while one of these two would probably become aggressive, and I personally am not going to videotape that because these two are both show rabbits and I don't want any harm to come to either of them. Plus, I love them as pets and family, of course, because they are. No matter what animal you bring into your home, it's always part of your family. But yeah, that's how they establish dominance. But as I said, even if the mounting stops and they seem perfectly fine, like my does, it could end up being a lot worse if you don't keep very close eye on them, or in my opinion, just don't even worry about it. He's binking around the table. All right, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.